So I have a neighbor who lives, I don't know, a few streets down that, I don't know, over the last like 6-ish months or so, I've been running into him like a lot when I go on like my morning walks, even on some afternoon walks. I don't know, we just walk at the same time. But, so our little chit chats have been like just pretty surface level, like less than a minute long, usually pretty boring stuff. He used to walk, now he rides his bike. He's tall-ish, skinny, usually wears black or white, wears gloves for his handlebars. Very nice guy. He is friendly. I've seen him stop and talk to like other people that are walking as well. Si Child, you know, likes to socialize. Sorry, I had to burp. Sorry. So the last few weeks we talked a little more. He made a comment before which made me think, oh, I think this guy might be married, because we were talking something. He said, oh, well, we had a baby, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, we means he's probably married, right? But they had the baby like 20 plus years ago, so not a baby anymore. Anyway, so yeah, that was a pretty big clue that, okay, he's married. And this was like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. Not that I was really interested anyway, just because with ENTPs, I know as an ISTP, there's just the emotional connection just is not there for the most part. I mean, I think he'd have to be like an Enneagram 4, like really in touch with his emotions. And then he would have to do the work of like emotionally connecting to me. And let's be real, a lot of ENTP men do not want to be vulnerable when you're wearing your heart on your sleeve, but that's a vulnerable place to be. So it's possible, but it's not likely. You know, you'd have to meet a unicorn. Anyway, so the story. So, all right, when I talked to him a few days ago, our chat was like longer, like 10 minutes long. And I got to talk about spirituality and some psychedelic experiences. And the first time I was clued in that he liked me was like 3 weeks ago, when he said, oh, I apologize if I was flirting with you before. Before he made that comment, I had no idea that he liked me. So that was my first clue that he liked me. And then later he made that comment about we, and I was like, okay, the guy's married. And then I find out, okay, you've been married as long as I've been alive, literally. So this guy's in his late 60s, early 70s. But obviously is physically active. Like, he's obviously like engaging his SE, because what do you say? It's like it's good for him. Like, it's kind of like meditation for him. Like, he has to do it. If he doesn't every morning, you know, he just feels off for the whole day. I get that. It's, yeah. But okay. I also think he's an Enneagram 7. Okay, so he's kind of been asking questions that are of a sexual nature, which in itself is super uncomfortable for me. But when I was talking about some of my psychedelic experiences a few days ago, some of his questions were of a sexual nature, and my TI hero, you know, can be very like computer-like. It's like, there's a part of me that's like, no, don't talk about sex. He's a man. He might like think you're into him or something. But the TI hero is just like, but this is the truth, and this is and I need to share my experience. And it's, to me, it's just sharing information. It's not an invitation for anything. So apparently he didn't hear anything I said except anything that was sexual related. Like, that's kind of what I'm seeing from today. So anyway, so I got my walk this morning, and I'm on the trail, and I can see him in the distance. He's stopped and talking to a man, and I look over and I see a squirrel up on the hill, and I'm like, oh, squirrel, oh my God. It's too far away to video it, and it's overcast, so it wouldn't come out in the video well anyway. But it was like 5 minutes of just squirrel action, like doing really cool squirrel stuff, like jumping and like eating things, and it was just like, makes me happy. Okay, so then the squirrel goes like around the tree so I can't see him anymore, and then the ENTP comes riding his bike towards me, and of course he stops. Now I was hoping, oh gosh, burp again, sorry. I was hoping he would want to talk more about spirituality, like, but no, what was on his mind was sex. Very, very uncomfortable for me. I get it, like, SE Demon maybe doesn't care about my experience as much as Si Inferior cares about his experience. But I also understand, like, sometimes you just gotta like, express yourself, whatever. So what does he want to talk about? Sex. Okay. So he's like, you know, you're really intimidating. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that I was intimidating. I guess I thought that you liked me, you know. And he's like, oh yeah, you're so beautiful. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable, especially as a married man telling me this. It's really uncomfortable. And I'm like, thank you. And then he's like, all I can think about is like you masturbating me and me masturbating you. And I'm just like, I want this conversation to end like right now. And I know I could have just shut it down. I know I could have been like, this is inappropriate. Like, no, this is not okay. And maybe I should have. Maybe Fe Inferior, you know, there's always that, whatever. I didn't say that. I just let him talk and just sat in my discomfort, well, stood in my discomfort, just waiting for it all to end. But, so he keeps saying these things, and I'm just like, I'm really sorry. I don't, like, what else am I going to say? Like, I'm really sorry, you know. And then he keeps going, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, but, you know, you're married. And he's like, yeah, I know. I needed to get it off my chest, and I haven't been sexually active in like a year or things like that. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, Si Inferior has skin hunger. I know what that feels like because there was a point in my life where I also felt skin hunger. Like, I literally made doctor's appointments just to be touched. Like, I understand skin hunger. Maybe it's way more intense with Si Inferior, but I can at least understand the concept. But anyway, you know, hopefully he won't bring that up again. Hopefully he got it off his chest. I mean, I get it when you're like obsessing over something, which he said he was the last few days. Like, it helps to get it off your chest. I mean, I can feel that with myself, where like with a guy I've dated in the past, where I might be stuck in this obsessive loop, and something that really helps me with that is just, okay, I'm gonna send him a message, share how I feel, what I think. He doesn't have to respond, but I know I feel better afterwards, and I can let it go and I can move on. Like, I know it helps me. So, part of being an Enneagram 4 is holding space for others, even if it's uncomfortable for me. Whatever. It's how I'm built, and I'm not going to change that about myself. Like, I knew this conversation was not going to last forever. I knew, whatever. In the moment, you just have to make a decision. How are you going to handle this? And he's a nice man. I don't believe he meant anything by it. It would have been different if he wasn't, whatever. You know, you just have to make your decisions. But about the whole emotional, oh yeah, since we're talking about ENTP, I also wanted to mention, so I told him I was like gonna go on a road trip. He asked, oh, by yourself? I'm like, yes, by myself. He's like, oh, I wish I could go with you. And this was like a week ago or something. I'm like, and then he's like, oh, I'd really like to, like, because he surfs, I'd really like to, like, go on a surfing trip up the coast. And I'm like, well, why don't you? And he's like, oh, my wife is like a homebody. She doesn't really like to go anywhere. And I'm like, well, why can't you go by yourself? He's like, yeah, I guess I could. I had encouraged him to do that because you only live once. But he also said he had, in his life, had hitchhiked about 7 times across the country. Anyway, then the other thing I wanted to say about just ISTPs, ENTP, and the lack of emotional compatibility, like back in my 30s, I might have been 37, and this ENTP, I met him at soccer. I think he was 27. He was from Iran, and he came here. Met him at soccer. Really good soccer player, like super intelligent. He was an engineer. Like, we just got along. Like, it was great. The only thing was, I just didn't have the emotional connection, which sucked. Because he's the kind of guy you want your daughter to marry. Like, he's that kind of guy. Very respectful, considerate. Like, he had everything. Everything. But I think he was also a 7, which is probably why it was hard to emotionally connect. But I also didn't really know anything about typology at the time either, so. But I definitely noticed with Fe inferior, like with this neighbor, he had told me he has a schoolboy crush on me. That's not the first time I've heard an ENTP say that to me. It's just, sorry, did I say inferior? It's Fe Child, you know, it's very innocent. You know, it's important to not beat down people's child functions. And I think that's partly why I just let him express himself, because, like, he's expressing his vulnerability and innocence to me. Like, that's a special thing. He even said that in the beginning, like, he felt like he could, like, share this with me. As an ISTP, a Templar, oftentimes people can share vulnerability with me because, I don't know, they feel I'm a safe container, I guess. And I feel I'm a safe container. I mean, of course, there's always a limit. Like, if you watch some of my previous videos, I kind of got a little, I don't know what word you would use. Was I being mean? Was I being stern? I don't know. But obviously, if someone pushes Fe inferior too far, I do have a Fi demon. Like, I do. I don't ever want to hurt someone. Like, hurt them. Maybe a little slap in the face. But I would never want to, like, actually really, really hurt someone, you know? Sorry. I had a psychic session yesterday, and it just it brings out emotions. I still need to process that more. But yeah, I think it's part of being an Enneagram 4 and also having like the Templar type typology. It's just, I'm a mirror. I even saw this in a Robert Edward Grant video I watched the other day. I think he released it a month ago and I just watched it a few days ago. The title, it said God in it, but it was a really good video. But you know, he's someone I've suspected is an ISTP, self-actualized ISTP, and he invented his own AI machine called the Architect. But just things he's said in his videos, I don't know. I think I've watched at least 5 of his videos in the last couple of years. I really think he's an ISTP. If you ever watch him, I would love to know what you think. But he's like a real life Indiana Jones. It's exciting. And I think he might also be a 7. I don't know, he could be a 5, a healthy 5. I don't know, but it's hot in here. I'm getting sweaty. Anyway, I think it's a beautiful thing for people to express themselves and express themselves vulnerably and honestly. But you know, the other thing I just want to say is just for men, I mean women too, because I think women can do things like this and then they get like a free pass because they're a woman, which is not okay. We all need to be cognizant of like how we're relating to people, you know? But specifically for men, just because this was a man saying this to me as a woman, like, please be mindful about like how you're sharing things to a woman. Like when you're saying things about like wanting to masturbate with her when you're not really like on that level together, it's very uncomfortable and unwanted. So yeah, just, and maybe he wouldn't share that with most people, but he just felt like he could share that with me. But it didn't change the fact that it's really still super uncomfortable and unwanted, and I don't know. I don't know. So I guess, is that everything I need to say in this video? I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have them. Well, of course you have them, but if you want to share them. And if you have any experiences as a man or as a woman, like, I love learning, and obviously there's a lot more to learn than what's inside here or like my own experiences. I'm always trying to expand myself. So I would appreciate that. Okay, bye.